Hey everyone, welcome to another live stream conversation. I have Kelly O'Grady. She's actually returning for a second time. She's head of video for Dot.LA and she's their chief correspondent. She has a lot of experience in media tech entertainment. And when we first spoke, we talked about TikTok and what its future is going to be. Since we had that conversation, seems like for now at least TikTok's US operations have been for now been fixed. For those who don't know, Oracle had got into a situation where they're going to help host them and they're going to end up being like a strategic investor in them. It's like totally beneficial for TikTok and it totally alleviates this dilemma that some might wonder of like, will TikTok, be gone or not? And especially in the US where it's become thriving. So we're going to talk about TikTok now, where we feel it's going. And then we're going to talk about some of the other trends that are happening in media entertainment, such as Disney and some things in social media. So thanks for joining again, Kelly.
Thanks so much for having me. I had a great time last time.
Same here. So like TikTok, WTF, like crazy, right?
It is. It's kind of funny. I always used to describe it as a soap opera, which I still think is accurate. It just feels like the soap opera has gone on hiatus for a little bit, and now they're going to come back with a new season for us all. It's interesting. Like you said, Oracle and Walmart actually got together for this deal where they would
Right.
invest and own, I think it's 20% of it. The really interesting piece that I don't feel like a lot of people are harping on is that two of ByteDance's investors, which is the Chinese company that owns TikTok, are actually US firms. So it's Sequoia and General Atlantic. And they own a percentage of ByteDance, which, if you do all the fun math, US companies would actually own 52% of this new TikTok entity. So it's kind of interesting how that all plays out, and it would actually satisfy the president's requirements regarding TikTok being owned by a US company. I'm not sure what's going to happen over the next month because while this deal is in place, there was a lot of hoopla maybe 2, 3 weeks ago or so around whether this was actually going to get done. So there was a question over percentage ownership, whether ByteDance would have control over it. The Chinese government hasn't signed off. So like I said, I think we had kind of the season finale cliffhanger. we just don't know yet what's going to happen there. But November 12th is when everything has to be wrapped up by. So we probably should get some resolution. So there's certainly so many other things that are going on in this world, like the election and whatnot, that may
I
grab
know.
focus.
So let's do a hypothesis. So
Yeah.
if President Trump doesn't get elected and Joe Biden gets the election, he officially wins. Would TikTok's deal still happen in your opinion?
Absolutely. I think that this has bipartisan support.
Cool.
And that's something interesting that a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, if Trump doesn't get elected, then this will all go away. That's just simply not the case. Biden even told his staff to remove TikTok from their phones. And I mean, when you see Nancy Pelosi and Trump on the same side of things, then you know that there's something going
Yeah.
on because that doesn't happen a lot. So whether Biden's, if he does actually win, if his administration would be as hard on China as Trump has been, that remains to be seen. But I do think the TikTok piece would remain in some form the way it is right now.
Okay. And let's talk about the product itself. Where do you think TikTok's going to go? Let's say this deal happens and TikTok's future for the next near future is secure. Where do you see it going? TikTok as a brand company, TikTok US at
I
least.
Yeah, I love this question because I think it's so uniquely positioned to go a number of different ways. Now, when they had hired my old boss, Kevin Mayer, to run TikTok, he was saying that they were going to move into a bunch of adjacencies like mobile gaming, e-commerce, live streaming, when it comes to music performances, different things like that. So I still think even though he's not there, right, that's where the company wanted to go as is. Now, with Walmart getting into the game, they're specifically looking to be an e-commerce partner. And the Chinese version of TikTok, which is called Douyin, is huge when it comes to this. So it's kind of like taking Instagram but to the next level, right? You have all of these influencers on Instagram and now TikTok, and it's on Instagram, you can go into the marketplace and purchase things, or you're influenced by someone to use their code to buy whatever. I'm a huge Bachelor fan, so I always get those notifications from all those folks. And so TikTok would kind of work the same way. And then it also feels very, I have to buy now because those videos go by in 15 seconds or 60 seconds. There's an urgency involved. So I think you'd see a huge marketplace start to come up. Folks like Charlie D'Amelio and some of these other TikTok stars would likely start to do brand partnerships. I mean, some of them have already started to do that, right? Like clothing lines, perfume lines, perhaps you'd see them start to partner with some of the brands that Walmart works with on a regular basis. So there would just be this platform for people to interact with fans, but also purchase the things right there on the spot without even leaving the app, which could be kind of interesting. I also think that you're going to start to see TikTok move into maybe some more produced content. So they've already started talking about doing not necessarily like long form shows, but semi-scripted shows. Because I think that's where we've seen all of the social media platforms go, right? Snapchat started off as just send little, pictures to your friends, and now they have their produced shows or talk shows, because it's just such a platform for entertainment and time spent with the user. And the more that they can get a user to engage on that app and all the data that they're able to gather, it's just incredibly valuable.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think the original content makes sense, and the social commerce thing is interesting. You got to wonder, why hasn't Instagram like gone all in on the social commerce? Like, why is TikTok might be the first forerunner into this whole arena in the way that it could be done?
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because I think you're right. Instagram is very well set up for that, especially when it comes to purchasing things in the fashion realm, because it's so focused around that aesthetic piece. And all of these influencers are, fashionistas and whatnot, at least the ones I'm following. My fiance follows fitness influencers. And so there's a lot of products there that you can market. And that is there, but you're right. Instagram has not made itself necessarily the platform where you can make in-app purchases. You still have to go to those respective websites or find that product on Amazon or something.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I mean, I think that TikTok is in a very unique position because of the algorithm that it's built. We don't know what's in that algorithm. I guess that's the whole point of all of these issues. But I will say, far more than Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or any of the social media platforms out there, that app knows what I want to a T. It knows exactly what to present me, even without me really engaging in the app. I'm not even liking people, following people. I'm just kind of on there enjoying the content that gets served to me. And it's way better than Instagram. So perhaps Instagram could have doubled down on that, figured that out. But I do think TikTok, the way that the app interacts with the user, is just already in such a great place to capitalize on that data and serve them specifically what they might want to buy.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, along on the other lines, the opposite side of a startup or burgeoning company, let's talk about the more established. Let's talk about Disney. So Disney made some interesting headlines. What's your take? What do you think happened with Disney?
Absolutely. Well, the pandemic, of course, has ravaged the company. It's quite sad. I'm over here in Los Angeles going like, I want to go to Mickey's very scary or not so scary Halloween party, but it's probably not going to happen. But the Disney Plus, as we talked about last time, has done really well.
Yeah,
and so
good.
this was an opportunity for them to double down on streaming. And kind of interestingly, a week before that, the activist investor Dan Loeb had come out with this letter to CEO Bob Chapek and said, you need to stop your dividend to investors, invest that $3 billion of extra cash a year, and start making more content for Disney Plus. And then lo and behold, a week later, they came out and they're like, well, that was already in the works. We are reorganizing. So right now you're going to see a shift towards, rather than ABC, ESPN, the studios all having their own P&L, there are now going to be these content groups. One's going to be sports, one's going to be film, and one's going to be general entertainment. So that will be your traditional TV shows, your Disney Channel, all that type of stuff. And instead of creating a piece of content, a movie for the theaters or for ABC, they're going to create content. Disney's amazing at that. That's their bread and butter. And then there's going to be a distribution arm, which then determines how are we going to best monetize that content? Is that something that should be released solely on Disney Plus? Should it be released on Disney Plus for an extra fee like Mulan was? Or should it be free like they're doing with the Pixar movie Soul come December? Or should it get that wide theatrical release? Should it be a made for TV movie? And trying to really determine how much money they're going to be able to make and then put that content in the best place possible. Personally, having worked at Disney, I know that I mean this is a brilliant idea. I think it allows them the flexibility to be a tech first company, a streaming focused company, and compete against Netflix, Amazon, etc., rather than just thinking about the Paramounts or the Warner Brothers of the world. However, with any great strategy comes execution. And there's a lot of strife sometimes at the top of Disney. I think we've seen over the past couple of years, folks come and go, maybe not necessarily as quietly as a regime change would have liked to happen. And so when you think about a piece of content and you're going to have content being created by these three different contract groups and their creative executives, and then you have someone who has a business mind deciding where it's going to go. I mean, what happens if Black Widow 2 comes out? Let's say, like, I've been using that as my example. Black Widow 1 does well whenever it comes out finally. I think it's finally coming out next year. And people on the studio side think that it should get a wide release because they poured all this money into it, all the special effects. They got the A+ talent and Scarlett Johansson and maybe some of the other Avengers to appear in it. Who knows, right? They've just poured a lot of money into it. But the distribution team runs the numbers and they say, well, no, we should release it on Disney Plus. I can see a lot of strife happening there, and it's really unclear who has the final decision power because all of these people are reporting up into the CEO. So I'm personally very curious to see how this actually happens. I think it's a brilliant strategy, but I mean, it's kind of like a business school professor's dream to like analyze this, like what's going to happen, what's going to go wrong.
That's funny. Let's talk about what else is going on with what you've been seeing with Dot.LA and any new trends for this year, or what do you think what's been piquing your interest for the remainder of this fall?
Yeah, so over at Dot.LA, we're having our Dot.LA Summit next week, which is going to be really exciting. We've got lots of folks from across industries. We've got Bill Gurley, we've got the Chainsmokers, which has been really interesting to bring in. I personally think one of the biggest things that we're seeing is celebrities getting more involved in entrepreneurship. And now this is something that in LA we've seen for a while, right? Like Ashton Kutcher was one of the original investors in many different companies. You have Ryan Reynolds and it seems like every male actor having some sort of liquor, that they're behind, whether it's tequila or gin. But I think more and more with the pandemic, you're starting to see this shift because all of these celebrities, whether they be actors or musicians or artists, whatever it is, they're part of this gig economy and none of them have been able to work. And I think you're starting to see a lot of people realize, wow, I need to diversify my portfolio. I need to start investing in things or creating a business that isn't as affected by whether we can shoot or not, or whether I can play in an arena to a live audience or not. So that's been one trend, which I think has been really interesting and is, of course, quintessentially LA. The other thing that I think I've seen started to happen in the music industry is these very intimately engaging fan experiences. Because, of course, if you wanted to see John Legend, right? Previously, you'd go on whatever the Ticketmaster, hope that you got tickets, and then go see him and be one of like these anonymous fans in this huge, huge, huge stadium. And it wouldn't feel very personal, but of course you would still love it because it's John Legend. At least that's just me. But now you're starting to see these different companies like Wave and whatnot create experiences for artists and audiences because we can't go do that during the pandemic. These artists still need to make money. We still want entertainment, and VR is coming a lot into it. You create these avatars where John Legend will be giving this, this performance, and I can watch it on my app, and I can feel like I'm right there. I can feel like I'm engaging. So I think you're starting to see companies lean in a lot more into these virtual experiences. And from that, I think you're starting to see fans expect a lot more personalization. So coming out of this, I'm very curious where this goes because that personalization is just not possible in a large scale arena type of event. So I think that's something that the music industry and frankly any sort of live event, right, like sporting, um, different types of live events, you're going to start to see that happen as well.
Okay. I really like that. Yeah, I think the live sports especially have taken an interesting. It's interesting, like watching the NBA finals. Right? It was like I didn't. It felt like a futuristic version. I mean, football they at least made you feel like there's lots of fans because they always focused on the teams.
Right.
Baseball actually wasn't that bad. Like I watched the Dodgers game yesterday, and it was
Hmm.
like, all right, they had them in silos, people. So yeah, sports is gonna be interesting next year. I don't even know. It's gonna be crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've felt like this is kind of a throwaway year in some respects. I mean the NBA, the ratings for the finals were way down because they had to compete with
Right.
football. And like you said, right, football they've been able because the focus of the camera is and has always been on the field. And you don't really see whether there are fans in the audience unless you do the pan from the stadium. But I don't know, did you feel like the NBA finals was real? I mean, I guess we should say it was real because
I
we did
mean,
win.
yes, obviously,
So of course it was real.
yeah, obviously it was real. Obviously, Lakers earned it. They played well. Heat was amazing, but it just felt like they were in some like stage, like a
Hmm.
simul virtual reality taping. It felt like a Black Mirror episode. Like I don't know with
Yeah,
like
it's a good
with the
comparison.
with like because think about it, like you'd see like Jack Nicholson's face in the background, like a montage of him, like when the Lakers score, or like fans going up, and like it's like some old footage. I don't know. That was trippy. I was trippy. I don't know. NBA scares me a little. I was like, all right, you guys are a little embracing this futuristic thing too much, and
Yeah.
but you got to do what you got to do. It's for health, so I understand. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm actually curious to see how the next like presidential debate is, or even like election day. Like, are they gonna have like the people like see each other, or is it gonna be like in a virtual booth? I don't know. This is like, yeah, you're right. This is an off year. I don't even think for sports. I just think for all media, it's gonna be interesting.
I know, I agree. It's gotten to the point where this is starting to be the new normal. I mean, we're seeing across industries, like we just talked with Disney, right? That's always been in the works, but it got accelerated because of the pandemic. There are a lot of things that are accelerating that I kind of feel like I don't want to go that way, like bring back some of that more normalcy. I'm not ready for the futuristic world that we seem to be trending towards, but I suppose
Yeah,
who knows?
who knows? Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to just seeing how TikTok evolves, and I'm actually gonna. I like Disney Plus, and it's interesting you brought that up because I'm looking forward to more Disney Plus content. So I'm glad, actually, I'm glad that this strategy is happening from a consumer standpoint. I don't know about the business of Disney yet; it's too early to tell for me. But I don't know. They seem to make this pivot, so it'll be interesting.
Definitely. Thanks so much for having me on. This is great.
No problem.